Hello, my name is Drew Lunt, and the media item that I decided to focus on was Season 5, Episode 3 from The Office. The Office is a comedy series hosted by NBC and started airing in 2005. The series depicts the everyday lives of office employees who work for a paper company called Dunder Muffin. In Episode 3 of Season 5, the HR rep Holly attempts to host a business ethics workshop where she tries to provide the office with a general education of business ethics and ethically responsible actions in the workplace. The meeting was very chaotic and soon turned into an unorganized session. Before you know it, all of the employees are sharing their personal stories on what they have done that violates the business code of ethics. One of the ethics violations was more serious than others and drew immediate attention to the coordinator running the seminar. Holly addresses three of the most common ethical issues that happen in the workplace. First is time theft. Time theft occurs when an employee accepts pay from their employer for the work that they have not actually done. These include taking longer lunch breaks than allowed and doing personal work while on the clock. The next example is physical theft, which is when an employee steals actual goods from the company. Some of the most common examples of this in the show were stealing office supplies for personal use. And last, ethical misconduct, which is more of a general term for ethical violations, but can be defined as an event that creates significant operational disruptions and threatens organizations' operations. While time theft is a common issue in the workplace, here's a funny example The Office uses that would be classified as an over-the-top example of time theft.
Yawn. 4 seconds. What are you doing? Oh, you had said that you don't do anything personal during work time, so I'm just making sure.
Oh, wait a minute, so you're gonna time me every time I yawn? That's absurd. Really? Oh, hey, look, Monkey knows how to use a stopwatch, everybody. He's
Personal conversation. 17 seconds.
There is no way that was...
1 second.
Well.
So as you can see, that was an example of time theft that was kind of taken over the top, and those aren't the serious issues, but you get an idea what time theft is like. I mentioned earlier that the meeting turned into employees sharing their personal stories on what they have done that violated the business ethics code. One of the ethics violations was more serious than others and drew immediate attention to the coordinator running the seminar. Meredith, who is a longtime employee, told everyone that she has been having a sexual relationship with a sales rep to receive discounts on paper products. This is an example of an ethical misconduct that falls under conflict of interest. The question now is, how should management act? And this is what needs to be addressed. Since I briefly mentioned that it was a conflict of interest issue, let's kind of define conflict of interest and explore how it affects business ethics. So by defining it, conflict of interest is the issue that has been created with the actions of an employee from the office, and conflict of interest can be defined as a situation in which the concerns or aims of two different parties are incompatible. This is one of the most common ethical issues that can arise in the workplace. Conflict of interest is very important to recognize early because it can have severe long-term effects on a company's operations. Management has mixed reviews on how they plan to handle this situation that has arose with Meredith. Michael Scott, who is the regional and office manager of the company, thinks they should push it under the table because she has been a long-time employee and it is her only job. Scott argues that it was during the immunity session, and immunity sessions are supposed to be times when employees are protected. The process that Scott and his team are going through when determining how situations should be handled, is an act of balancing emotion versus reason when making a decision. You can see through kind of Scott's way of thinking, he's taken more of the emotional route, and he's using defenses like she's a long-term employee and what she said was during the immunity session, so that can't really technically be held against her. These are all examples of kind of emotion decisions versus reason. And this is the premise of all ethical decisions. Michael Scott and Holly, the HR director, soon go out to lunch in the episode and talk over how they're going to respond to the incident with Meredith, the employee who's involved in the misconduct.
I'm saying.
No, you are saying that we should sweep it under the carpet, accept the discount on supplies, not fire Meredith, and pretend like the whole thing never happened.
Yes.
What am I saying?
Well, busted.
I'm saying that her behavior is unethical and a little icky. And I don't think I want to work in an environment where that sort of conduct is tolerated.
Well, you have to tolerate a lot when you're part of a family.
It's not a family. It's a workplace.
So that was kind of their reaction at the lunch meeting, and you can kind of start to get to feel how both of feel about the matter. An ethical dilemma is present. So should the company report the issue with Meredith and the sales rep? Holly argues it is an act that must be reported because she thinks it violates the company's code of ethics. Holly is more on the reason side of the spectrum, while we said earlier Scott is using more of the emotional reasoning. After Holly and Michael Scott were debating what to do, they called the corporate HR director to get his sense on the situation and see where he stood for further actions with Meredith. Here's this clip.
Can I sit?
I don't know, can you? Kendall, my main man.
Listen, Holly, Michael, I just got the report that your branch submitted. There's a lot of stuff about a relationship Meredith is having with
Yes, that came out during the ethics seminar.
And let the record show that it was during the immunity part of the seminar.
Well, I'm not sure these circumstances warrant any action.
Oh, I think it's pretty clear it was unethical.
Well, from what I can gather, it seems like a gray area. Look, to be honest, the company's getting a discount at a tough time in our balance sheet, and I don't know that the right thing to do for the company is to turn our noses up at that.
Kendall, I understand that the discount is good for the company, but I'm just not happy about the way we're getting it.
I thought it was clear with you, Holly. Your task was to get signatures from the employees showing that they completed the training.
No, I understand.
Because every other branch has managed to get this to us, so if it's not something you can handle, then
No.
that's a different discussion.
No, I can do it.
Good.
So you can kind of see the corporate HR director that was on the phone kind of backs up with the decision that Michael's standing for, and Holly continues to kind of push back against this idea. So the counter argument to management's decision is similar to what we have talked about with Holly. The case should be reported through reasoning through the conflict of interest case. The actions that Meredith has participated in are harmful for the company's future and reputation. So this is the argument that Holly's taking, but it's the kind of the counter argument to what Michael Scott and the corporate HR management are taking. So you kind of deciding between these two options is what the whole ethical dilemma is about. In conclusion, you can learn a lot from this conflict of interest example and how to handle it in a corporate and business setting. As an employee, being aware of conflict of interest can be very beneficial to your future in the workforce. For a company, having an established code of ethics makes situations like this a lot easier to deal with because you already have a plan of actions that follow violations like this. Having a code of ethics makes it easier to battle the emotions versus reason argument because your code of ethics helps you answer these questions. Thank you for watching.